So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the.
All right, guys, how is everybody doing tonight? Happy Sunday. Let me pull the chat down here to my lower monitor. Juicy, what's up? MD, Jake, Alex, howdy, howdy. Let me share this to Twitter real quick while we're waiting for folks to join in. Hope all of y'all have had a beautiful weekend and everybody went to go see a movie. Share. All right. Broke Ape, Corey Jones, good evening. Anya, how you doing? Corey's drinking bourbon tonight. I'm drinking not hard liquor tonight, Corey. I haven't cracked one of these yet, but we're fixing to, because it is Sunday night. It is a Voodoo Love Child Belgian Triple Ale. I can't remember if I had one of these before, but we're fixing to give it a test run. Bottoms up. Not too bad. CPAW, yeah, I'm trying to decide for the No Shave November. What do we got? About 11 more days to go. Should I keep it for the rest of the winter? Should I keep it until Mullen squeezes? Or should I, till XRP squeezes? Or should I just shave it off at the end of November? Tonight on the agenda, we'll talk, I want to talk a little bit about the space call that I did on Twitter last night. I want to talk a little bit about AMC just for a minute. And then we'll go over some news items and whatever else you guys want to talk about. This is just a very informal hangout. Yeah, by the way, this is a holiday week in the U.S., so markets are going to be closed on Thursday. Hopefully I get this right. Closed on Thursday, and Friday is early close. I think it's 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you are tuning in or watching this on replay outside the U.S., just know that we have our Thanksgiving week this week. I will be around. I'm staying in town for Thanksgiving this year. So if it gets really boring and you're looking for something to do, hit me up and we'll get some holiday live stream action going on. All right, let's pull up the AMC short interest, because I got a question on YouTube the other day. Do I think AMC still is going to short squeeze? And I'm going to tell you guys the same thing I've been telling you for 2 years. Let's get the right camera here. I consider a short squeeze candidate, no matter what the stock, something where the reported short interest is over 20%. And I get it. That's not going to be a popular answer for some of the crowd tonight because AMC is sitting at 10%. But that's always been my rule. It's not going to change. And I think that, it's going to be hard for me to give you a different answer because that is what I believe. And we're a long way away from 20%. Now, if you choose to believe in what I've heard some people say, trillions of naked shorts and synthetics, I understand that narrative is out there. And, I hope it is. I hope that is true, but I don't report on that. I report on what we can see. If it was good enough for Roaring Kitty, it's good enough for me. I don't ever recall him talking about billions of synthetic shares on GameStop. So that's my answer on that. As far as the price action for AMC, what's going to happen the rest of this quarter? Again, just to recap what we've been talking about in the live streams for the past couple weeks, I'm looking at a couple things. And the main one is domestic box office. And I think it's, let's pull it up, somewhere around 800 million, not Box Office Mojo. So we're not in a great spot. 872 million. We're not in an ideal spot for AMC where I'd like it to be this far into the quarter. Because, ideally to show a profitable quarter, greater than break even, we're going to need somewhere over 2.5, 2.6 billion domestic box office. So, do you guys think we can get close to 2 billion in the next 6 weeks based on the movies we have? I do not. So I think, like I've been saying since the beginning of this year, Q4, I thought Q3 and Q4 were both going to be bad. Barbie saved our ass in Q3, and Q4 is looking like it's still going to shape up to be a money-losing quarter. That's where I'm at right now. I look at domestic box office every week and doing my part to see movies, and I hope you are too, because that is really the most important thing for AMC right now. And again, that is why I think they went ahead and did this second dilution right now to get in front of the bad news, to raise money while the stock price is still high. $8 to $10 is high relative to where I think it's headed with the bad news that is going to be coming from the media over the next 6 weeks if this box office doesn't change. Edward says, Ortex is self-reported. Yeah, let's talk about that again because I love it when this question comes up. When we look at the short interest, what you see on Ortex is reported by the lenders, right? This short interest is reported by the lenders. And then you get over here, the official reports from the exchange every 2 weeks, and it's delayed. So the last one we got was on November 9th for the date ending October 31st. So we're already dealing with almost a month old data. And Ortex, to fill the gap between October 31st and today, they get data from the various lenders, and they make an estimate of what the short interest is. And sometimes you see that 1 or 2% adjustment. I think most of y'all already know this. So Ortex is reporting self-reported data from lenders, not from shorts. This over here on the right, the exchange official report, is reported by institutions that are short. They have a legal obligation to report their shorts. Now, if you want to be one of the ones that thinks they're all breaking the law and not fulfilling their obligation to report their shorts, that is a topic for a different channel. I don't engage in the self-reported versus everybody's lying debate. But as I've said many, many times, if all that were true, then and it's ever brought to light, then there could be a short squeeze on this stock. But what I've watched in every single ticker that retail's participating in over the last couple of years is us not winning. So I don't really know what clinging on to that self-reported data. I don't know what clinging on to that does for us. And I think for many people, as I've been encouraging you for the last year, it's time to take charge of your investing. And I'm not here. I'm here to fight market corruption and push the SEC for change, like more transparency on FTDs, better, better disclosures on short interest. But none of us can be here if we ride every stock down to zero. So I've never been a zero or hero guy. I'm a market change, but I'd like to be around and not have my soul crushed. And I've seen a lot of people get their soul crushed in dozens and dozens of stocks over the last couple of years. I want you guys to be around and have the energy and the willpower to fight. And it's hard to do that when you're getting crushed or getting wrung out of the system. Edward says, if we don't have a strong Q4, where do we think the stock price is going to go? Edward, I'm going to be honest. I figured, back in August, whenever we knew that the reverse split was coming and that he was going to do dilution, there was a good chance that the price would go down. What were we at? $30 back then? And I said that to you many, many times in the live streams, that the company must do this. They have to fix the balance sheet. And then we said very slowly, so you guys could hear what I'm saying, this could have some negative impact to the price. Act accordingly, plan accordingly. I can't tell you what to do. I can just tell you what I think is going to happen. And so that is why I got out ahead of that. And then I got back in when it dropped down to 7 or 8. I never thought we'd see 7 or 8 a month ago. And then we luckily had this recent run up to 1120, 1140 or so. If Q4 is bad, I mean, we've been through other Q4s that have been worse than this, and the price right now is way lower. So I don't know. I never thought we'd see where we're at right now, honestly. But I hear a lot of people talking about $5. That seems a reasonable worst case scenario, one that I certainly hope not to see. $1 to $3, gosh, man. I would just hate to contemplate that. Based on market cap, that does not make sense to me. It is Santa. Ho, ho, ho. What's up, Juicy? Edward says, why doesn't AMC use the money to pay off the high interest debt with covenants and close a lot of theaters? Excellent questions also. So they are closing theaters. If you go look in the latest 10Q, there's a list of how many screens have been reduced. And there's a table that shows how many screens they've reduced and how many they've added. So the older non-performing theaters, they are closing them as the leases come due. And in newer areas, they're adding brand new theaters or buying theaters that are for sale. And those are a fraction of the quantity of the ones they're closing. Yet that fraction is outperforming the sum of all the ones that have closed. So they're doing the right thing, but it takes time. You got to let these leases come due. Unfortunately, if you walk away from a commercial lease, the landlord's going to sue you for the entire remainder of the lease. So it's not as simple as just shutting the doors and wash our hands of it. It's probably something they are doing some analysis on, like what's the least damaging thing to do? Walk away from the lease and get sued, or try and show some movies until the lease is done and just at that point close it down. Mike, how you doing? So my strategy, if you're wondering what my strategy is, I had been buying, like I said, around 7 to 8 a month or so ago. It ran up 60%. If you sold a stock in 30 to 60 days for a 60% run up, you beat the market by 3x for a year. So I sold on that run up to 1120. And right now I'm sitting with, I've been doing a bullish option strategy to rebuild my position. And I will probably 4x my position, 3 or 4x my position size. So when I had my shares last month up until a week ago. As I've talked to you guys about over the past few weeks, I was selling covered calls on those, and I was selling puts. I think it's $7. It's in the Discord. I forget. So much to keep up with. But both of those were income generating strategies while I'm holding on to the shares. And now, so I had those two option strategies making me money. I let the stock run up and I started selling it at a 50 to 60% gain. And now I'm anxious to get back in somewhere around this price where it's at, $7. It could go lower, I don't know. So what I'm doing is selling put options because, look, I shared this story with someone on Twitter earlier today, and many of you guys probably are sitting around doing this. If only it would drop to $6, I'd be willing to buy 100 shares. So you could wait, right? And do nothing with that cash sitting in your account for it to hit $6 or $7, whatever number in your head. Or you could do what I'm doing is I pick a price that I'm willing to buy it at and I sell puts. And I've been selling them for $83 to $90 a contract. Those give me the obligation to buy the stock. If it closes below my strike price on the option expiration date. And I'm okay with that. So if I sold the $8 put and it closes on December 15th at $7, I'm going to have to pay $800 for 100 shares when they're only worth $700. But I made $90 selling the put. So really my cost basis is $7.10. $7.10. If it doesn't drop to below $8, then I get to keep the $90. And if it were just to tank, if it were to absolutely tank, like someone said in the chat a minute ago, 135, I think that, next year is going to be good for AMC. I'd just buy extra shares. I'm talking about my trading strategy, not instructions for you guys. People love to misinterpret that. I will be buying shares if it gets knocked down. If the only news that we're worried about is dilution and a weak Q4, then I'd be okay buying it $1, $2, $3. I don't see it going that low. Unless there's some other bad news we don't know about. Once I get my shares again, once I rebuild my stash, just like any other stock I have, I'll be picking a price. I don't think it will go higher than, let's say, $12, 13, and I'll sell covered calls on those. Again, if you're sitting on hundreds and hundreds or thousands of shares and you're not selling covered calls, I know I resisted that for myself for the last couple of years. Why did I do that? I just let that money fly away. I could have been selling covered calls on my entire position for the last 2 years. And I opted not to, because what if it runs up and your shares get taken away? What if it ran to 70 again and you had a $20 call that you sold? Yeah, that is the risk. That is the risk. But I'm living more in a world of reality than hope. Not just because of what's going on with AMC, but I've watched literally dozens of retail stocks, the same thing play out. I do not have any Highcroft, Mike. I decided to try for the first time ever, Mike, buying puts on a reverse split stock before it split. So I had bought 4 puts on Highcroft with a 50-cent strike a couple months ago. And it's just tick tock. The theta value is dropping. The time value of the puts was dropping as fast as the value of the options was going up, because Highcroft's going down below 50 cents. But as fast as it's dropping, every time I'm making money from that, I'm losing money from the time value. And then they expired on Friday, this last Friday. So I ended up getting out of that trade at break even. So I didn't make anything. It was just an experiment. And people were talking about buying puts on Mullen. I'm like, I don't see why. Why right now? Why would you buy a put on Mullen? It's the same situation. How much? Unless Mullen's gonna announce bankruptcy next week, you will what's the damn word? The volatility, the implied volatility there. The IV on Mullen is so high right now, you're not going to make money at this point buying puts on Mullen. Maybe after the reverse split in late December, mid-December. Anyways, I'm just sharing that with you because a lot of times I hear people say, I'm going to buy puts because it's going to reverse split. Well, doesn't always work out. I felt lucky to break even. As far as what I'm going to do with Highcroft, I'm just on standby and watching it closely until we know we have the reverse split, and we know that sometime next year they're going to announce their plan, like how are they going to get back into mining. I want to hear about that. What's that plan? How much is it going to cost to build the new milling operation? Are we talking 200 million, 500 million, 900 million? Where's that money going to come from? Are you going to have to dilute some more? These are all things you need to be thinking about with Highcroft. And then on the bullish side, maybe they have some miraculous discovery and they agree to get sold and acquired for higher than the current price. Okay, then I hear you. How much higher than the current price? And what are the odds of that happening? So I'm trying not to gamble on dark horse. Yeah, sure, it's a possibility. Just like the dark horse can win the race when you go to the racetrack. But I try not to design my portfolio around that scenario. TF Hatter says, if you're looking for tickers tonight, he's tracking TWLO for possible entry this week. I had one other one that someone shouted out. The ticker, I'm going to pull up TWLO. The other one is SHOT. 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 Which apparently has a shot that they will sell you that will break down your blood alcohol percentage if you've had a hard night out drinking. And so I haven't checked my email, but I did reach out to them and see if they'd send me one, and I will test it live here on camera. I'll go buy a breathalyzer and we'll do 4 shots in an hour and then wait 15 minutes and try their, well, I'll do a breathalyzer and then try their concoction and see if it makes a noticeable difference. Now, they have some studies that they say that it works, but they haven't done a double-blind placebo yet. So I'd really like to see that. You know, as a data-based guy, that's what I'd like to see. Anyways, it's one worth looking at. The stock's been running up, but it's already run up like 10x in the last 2 months. So don't take that as a suggestion other than keep an eye on that ticker in case it's still running. I'm not going to be jumping in and buying it on Monday morning, but I will be watching it if it keeps moving. Then if it's still moving up, I will consider it for a day trade. TWLO, Twilio. I have not thought about Twilio in some time. $457 down to $63. The hell happened to them? PE ratio is 29. Forecast. Market cap is 11 bill. 11 billy. Increasing revenues, which is good on an annual basis. The problem is the net income is getting worse. As their revenues are growing, their losses are growing. That's not the situation you'd ideally like to see. That was on an annual basis. Let's look at the quarterly. They are, as the quarters, if we look at a quarterly, it looks like they're fixing it. So minus 229, minus 342, minus 166, minus 141. This could be an interesting play if you can convince yourself that they're going to get back to some profitable quarters. Current assets, including cash, 4.7 billion. Current liabilities. Yeah, the balance sheet looks okay. 726 million on current liabilities. Yeah, I mean, that one's worth your time to investigate for sure. Other stocks that I have bought in the past August, September, past 3 months. I did videos on a couple of these, got some shit for a couple of them. Building up my some of my blue chip positions. I have Apple. I bought some Disney at $79 and $83. It's at $94. You should go back and find my Disney video. Look at all the comments. People telling me it's going to $30. I'm an idiot. Pretty happy with Disney. I'll do a Disney update here sometime soon. I have some CVS. I bought it at $66.93, so it's barely in the green. I have some Target that I got in. I bought at 122 and then I doubled my buy at 107. And it's at 129, so I'm well in the green on that one. I'm just looking for good companies that are beaten down. Doesn't mean that I agree with these companies. For sure, like a Disney and a Target, I have some strong reservations about management. But if you go back and look at the history of these stocks, I mean, if you draw an imaginary line and take out this stupid run-up right here, it's priced where it was back in 2019. And I think once they get past this bullshit that they're dealing with, they may need to throw the whole management out, or they may need just to have a come to Jesus moment with their marketing. But a lot of these companies, like I said, don't ever take the fact that I'm covering a stock, meaning that I'm condoning what management is doing. But I think that, as I said on my Disney video, I think ultimately capitalism wins. And there are activist investors threatening to take over the board if Disney doesn't fix their shit. I think the one that I have that is not performing right now is Ulta. Almost everything I have is green. Yeah, I don't know where I bought in Ulta. I can't remember if I bought in before the bottom or at the bottom. I'll pull it up while we're chatting here. And Tesla, I'm watching closely for a re-entry. We're going to start providing some ongoing coverage of Tesla. That is part of the reason that we've been doing on this channel, the tier 2 EV companies, the deep dives. As I've said to some of you, if you've been around or been in the Discord, ultimately what I really want to talk about is Tesla. But I know when I talk about Tesla, many of you are holding the tier 2 and you're going to want to know my thoughts on them. So I'm doing a refresh. I haven't looked deeply into them in 2 years because I figured they were all going to go down. But we're refreshing the DD on all those and kind of seeing where they're at. Tesla being the only one that's really profitable right now is probably the safest play. But the question is it overpriced? And that's a big debate that we're not going to have tonight. Let's see what my position on Ulta is. I have some McDonald's. I have PayPal. PayPal's in the green. McDonald's is in the green. Up about 5.7% on Ulta. So my basis on that was $3.87 per share. I have Costco. Costco's been doing great. I'm up almost 22% on Costco. And then I have a few options plays and little shit gambling plays that we'll see how those work out over the next couple weeks. Mostly what I'm doing, what I did last week was a lot of option trading. Jacob says, do you think we raise money from the announcement? Do you think we get a raised money announcement from AMC soon? And Bob says, will it go up after they announce that they raised the $350 million? I do think that. This is just my opinion. And that could take weeks or months, but that's why I'm looking to get back in right now. The question that I have for myself is, how bad is the Q4 going to affect the price versus the good news of they're done with the dilution? I don't know the answer to that. Thomas says, you look old now. Yeah. I told you guys before, my wife loves it when I have the beard. The scragglier, the better. But I always tell her I don't like doing it because it makes me look like a hobo, especially when it gets really long. It makes me look like a streetless vagrant. Streetless? Homeless. A homeless vagrant living on the street. MD says he's looking for an entry on Elf Beauty. Elf. Yeah, that's a nice pullback on Elf. I haven't checked into that one. Market cap 6 point. Let's compare. PE ratio on ELF is pretty high, 42. And on Ulta, it is 16. So for me, just based on that, like I haven't looked at the financials of ELF, but I would say that ELF is looks to be overpriced relative to Ulta. That's obviously just the first step of analysis. You need to do a lot more than just look at the PE ratio, but that's kind of like your first step to compare two companies in a similar industry to see relative to one to the other, is one overpriced, is one underperforming. Dan says you'll put Santa out of business. Yeah, if I let this go all the way to Christmas, Dan, I should think about renting a Santa uniform for the Christmas live stream. Mike says, check out the Stetson's mansion in DeLand, Florida. They have restored the place. I will check into that, Mike. Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of my thought that Adam, the board, doesn't want the price of AMC to drop below $7-8 range, because then they get back in that dangerous place where, you know, on the NYSE, if you're under $5, you're considered a penny stock. So I think that they are going to be, I hope that they're going to be diligent about not selling stock and crashing the price. But I don't know. I don't know what's in their mind. If I was them right now, I'd be thinking about, we're probably going to lose $100 million in Q4. And there's going to be bad news driving the price down. And so we better grab $8 to $10 while we can. That's what I think is in their head. Doc Zeno, what's up? All right, let's talk about the space call from last night. I was in a space call just because it was Saturday night. I thought about doing a live stream last night, but I didn't really have much to talk about. So I listened in on someone's space call. I think they were talking about MMAT or MMTLP. And then for whatever reason, they wanted to hear my thoughts, which I don't know why. Like, that crowd does not like me. Because I said, you know, a year ago, I said sell at 10. And but I came up and I ended up talking for an hour or hour and a half, and we had a great talk. What a great space call when you can have, there were shorts on many different plays, including AMC, that were on that call. There were people that liked MMTLP, people that didn't like it. We talked about AMC, Mullen, a bunch of different stuff. But we also talked about paid pumpers. And I've seen a few people have taken little clips of that and reposted it, probably out of context. I haven't listened to them, but people sent me screenshots. And so just to clear up what was said,